Hi, in this video we're going to be talking about how to set up a quick and easy blog using Blogger Blogs and post a great review of the product. So it's a two-step process: set up a blog and write a great review. Now the first thing I want to answer is you might have a question like, okay, I haven't actually used the product, how can I review it? Well, there are two different ways of doing it, because I actually don't like to review stuff unless I actually used it. But you can also review it in a different way if you haven't actually used it. So there's two ways to go about. You could either contact the person and say, hey, I'm writing a great review about your product, but I'd like to analyze it first before I review it. And you can show him or her your blog that you'll be reviewing it on so that they can get a good idea that you're actually reviewing it. You're not just some sort of freebie seeker. Do that because a lot of people will actually be happy because what you're doing is you're providing free marketing services on promoting their product. So that's one thing to do. The second thing to do, let's say that you can purchase the product, or let's say you just don't want to dish out the money. What you can do is, instead of writing saying, oh, I use this product, it's great, things like that, you write it in a way that says, okay, this is the product you get. Or you can even write an article or get an article that is related to that product. Perhaps the product tells you how the puppy can stop chewing. You could even write an article that gives tips about that. And at the bottom you can say something like, for more of these tips, go to this site. I highly recommend that you get this product because it provides this, and this about what you just talked about. So what we're doing is we're using it as a pre-selling method. You're sort of reviewing it, but you're also giving more information to gain that trust most of all. Because what most people don't realize is that there is a difference between saying, hey, buy this, it's a great product, versus telling people how they can solve their problems, but not telling them too much, but gaining that trust to show that you actually have good information. And then when they get to the sales page, they see even more good information that they want to actually buy the product. So that's actually another good way to pre-sell the viewers that are viewing your blog. Let's go ahead and set up a blogger.com blog. Now Blogger is owned by Google, so you can just simply type in Blogger here and you can find blogger.com. So this is what blogger.com blogs look like. It's a very simple and easy way to set up blogs. You can actually see you can create a blog in easy steps. Create an account, which is basically a Google account. If you have Gmail, then you're pretty much set. And name your blog and then choose your template, and that's it. Now there are little key things about naming your blog and all that, so I'll go in that detail in a moment. So the first thing you want to do is you either want to set up an account if you don't have one, or you just want to sign in. So if you have a Gmail account, you can go ahead and sign in. And just click on the sign in button here. So once that's done, if you don't have any Blogger blogs, then you're not going to see anything down here. So to create a blog, all you do is click this link, create a blog, and I'm about to show you how easy it is. It probably takes you about a few minutes, probably less than 1 minute. The first thing you want to do is you want to name your blog title, because this is going to be appearing on the top of your actual blog. Now whenever you name your blogs, I would say the best way to name it would be to say something like how to this, or how to stop this, or how to do this, because if you realize most people, when they go to Google or they go to Yahoo or any search engine, they type in how to do this, how to stop this, how to do this, because they want to learn how. And you're going to teach them a little bit on the how, and the dog product that we're looking at is going to teach them even further how to do that. So we're going to do something like how to stop dog chewing. And the good thing about this is that Blogger will actually help you rank really high on these keywords. To do that, just go down here and type in this, but put dashes in between them like this. So basically replace the, make it all lowercase, and you can check the availability, whether it's available or not. It says this blog address is available. Once that's done, you just enter the CAPTCHA, that's what it's called, the little characters that you see here. Once you're done, just click on continue. You don't need to worry about this advanced setup. Next thing you want to do is you want to set up by choosing a template. Choose what you like. And most likely you want to choose something that's on a white background. Just because some people just can't see things that are on a black background, white words on a black background. So something like this will work, or even this will work. And something that is good with the eyes, that is eye friendly. So we'll go ahead and choose this, Tic Tac. Once you're done with that, click on continue. And that's it. Your blog has been created, so you can start blogging. So as we can see here, we've already created the blog, and now you can actually start posting your first post. Now the thing here is you want to name your blog or your title of your blog post the same as your blog. So it really depends on what you're promoting, what kind of approach you're taking. If you're taking the approach of just gaining the trust of the user, sort of pre-selling them, telling them perhaps 10 ways or 5 ways on how to stop dog chewing. So if we do 5 ways on how to stop your dog's chewing, you could actually list out those 5 ways. Now the key here is to actually make titles similar to your blog and even insert it So if we can see here, we want to insert that keyword in here, but you don't want to add it too much. You just want to add it so that it's a realistic article. Because what's most important here is that people are going to be reading this review or this article. It's not necessarily so much the search engines. Yes, the search engines are going to read this, and they might rank you upon it, but you got to take in factor that people are going to read this, and your goal here is mainly to pre-sell to them. So with that said, you can write it up. If your approach is to gain their trust, then you can write it this way. Write up 5 simple ways to stop your dog's chewing, and at the end you can say something like, if you would like more of an in-depth step-by-step training resource to not only stop your dog's chewing, but you can list out other problems, that dogs face, like barking, and a lot of times these dogs do these things just because they're bored. So after you say that, you can say go to stoppuppychewing.com, which was the domain that we had earlier, and you can link it. If you highlight it like this and click on this link, you can enter the URL here. Press OK, and that's it. Now this is only one method of pre-selling. Let's actually use the review as far as the review method as if we have used the product or we purchased the product. So I can save now. I can publish the post. And we can actually see that here. See the article here. And what people will do is they'll click on that link so they can't see your affiliate link, and it looks more professional. It actually goes to the site and If they purchase through it, you get the commission. So let's use that secondary type of method, which is creating a actual review, assuming that you've actually used the product. Or let's say that you haven't. You can actually write it in a way that, like this. But I would highly recommend that you actually use a product before you recommend that, just because a lot of people may be able to see that. And not only that, it's more ethical to actually review the product before you actually tell people how great it is. So different methods, different ways to promote. Let's go back to the posting and create another title here. If we were using that approach of reviews, we'd probably want to do something like, we would probably want to name our blog something with a reviews, the word reviews in it. So we would change or make a new blog to change that to Stop Dog Chewing Reviews. So let's assume that you've actually used the product. You purchased it, or you contacted the owner to see if you can get a copy, and he gave you a copy to use. So what you do is you can look through it and see what you liked about it, pros and the cons. Because to make it a non-biased review, it has to have pros and cons in it. And a lot of products out there, you might not even find any cons. But the key is to find something. So when you write your review, you don't want to make it sound like a sales letter, like you're sort of trying to sell people. You just want to make a non-biased review. You can even type that here. And of course, that's only for you to view, just so you can remind yourself not to make a biased review. So the first thing we want to do is we want to ask questions that state problems. You want to have pros, you want to have cons. Introduction to the book. Okay, with that said, I'm going to ask questions that state problems. So if we're relating to dog training, we could say something like, is your dog very obedient? So you don't want to make it sound like a sales letter, but you want to make it so it does ask questions. You can say, is your dog very obedient? So much so that it embarrasses you in front of your friends. And you can start relating to the person. Relating to the person is a great way to get started. So you can say something, if you're like me, I was sick and tired of my dog's excessive biting, barking, whining, and aggression issues. Then, once you state the problems, then you come out with a solution. Of course, that solution was, I came upon a book that allows me to take my dog's problems, and he's now so obedient. You don't want to make it so it sounds all hyped up. So what you want to do is, while you're doing the review, you want to list all the pros that you can think of from a factual standpoint, from an unbiased standpoint. So if I were to say I was able to slash my dog's obedience training time in half by using techniques tell them why, tell them how, give them examples. For example, you could say, I read a previous training course For example, you could say, when I was teaching my dog to stop biting everything in my house, this book allowed me to stop my dog's chewing problems in 2 weeks. So if that really worked, then put that there. Cons, you always need some cons. You might not have anything in your mind, but you could say something like, the book solved 95% of my dog's problems. May not have solved 100%, but at least it solved 90 or 95%. You could say something like, but my dog still has 5% of problems unsolved. Then again, it's my dog. And after you have your questions, intro, pros, and cons, you also want to have a conclusion. So what is your overall conclusion? You can say, I'm very happy with this book, and it's made my family's lives so much easier without any sleepless nights. While it hasn't solved 100% of my dog's problems, it has indeed. And then you can say something like, I'd highly recommend you check out this resource. And then you put your domain name. And at the same time, you highlight that, click on this link, press OK, and that's it. Click on Publish Post so that we can actually see it live on the actual blog. We'll actually go ahead and go to the blog. So with that said, once you say, okay, it looks good, what you want to do is you want to go back and edit that post and remove those little helpers that we had. Like ask questions. No one really wants to see that. That's really for you. And then, of course, you want to leave the pros and cons. And the conclusion. So you just want to remove the answered questions, ask questions that state problems, and any little notes that will help you. So those are mainly just to help you. Once you're done with that, you can publish the post so that you can actually see it live. We'll go ahead and refresh the page here. And as you can see, we look at it again. You want to check it again just to make sure everything's in line. And that's it. So now you know how to set up a blog for Blogger and how to write reviews in different approaches. With that said, you've already set up your ClickBank blog. The next thing we want to do is we want to actually start driving traffic using different traffic resources in the next video. In the next video, we'll be talking about press releases,